To me, the listening to the mental system as it being what you are is the root cause of uh, both relapse and suicide. So when Nisargadatta Maharaj says it's the when you identify with the body and the mind, you fragment yourself. When you identify with the brain and its core beliefs, like I'm worthless is like a real doozy. I feel most people can relate to this core belief. Yeah. When you identify with that, let's say with the thoughts that come after that core belief. Yeah? So if the baseline of the mental system is I'm worthless, then all the thoughts that come after that are going to be referenced or based on that. Also, the relationality with the world. So let's say something happens at work, that's going to trigger the idea I'm worthless. If I'm identified as that mental system, that sense of worthlessness can put somebody into a really serious depression. And now it doesn't matter what happens in the world, like all of their loved ones, for instance, saying that they actually are not, that's not true. The mental system is going to override any other content. So if you're living and identifying with that mental system, you are going to be driven by that mental system. Now, if the mental system is based on I'm worthless, that's going to make you very depressed. As soon as you get depressed, now relapse and both suicide are an option. This is my direct experience of this stuff. So, it's the identification. Now, I thought early on in recovery that I was going to be able to change that conditioning of those core beliefs. Let's say I'm less than, or everything's my fault, or I'm not good, let's say. I thought that I could change that. And then that failed. So judgment came back in, and then those core beliefs presented themselves yet again. And there I was again, 6 years sober, completely depressed. Not using substance, but completely depressed as if I was. So the only difference was I wasn't using substance. But that definitely became an option. So, if I'm identified as the thinker of the conditioned thoughts, I am tied to those thoughts. Those thoughts are then driving. There's a sense of doership with the body and the brain, but there is no doer. So that would mean there is no separate thing inside of this body which is doing those thoughts and those beliefs. Those are conditioned, like cause and effect or whatever they say in Buddhism. They are conditioned ideas, yeah? Now, if I'm not doing them, the idea that I'm going to undo them is false. I'm not going to be able to undo those core beliefs. And I thought, under the sense of doership, that I was going to be able to do that. That failed, and then it took me right back to the depression and the wanting to drink and the wanting to get out of this situation however possible. So it is through the identification with the conditioned ideas that the mental system drives you into weird spots. Let's say depression, anxiety, whatever, yeah? And then, of course, emotionally the body goes off and relationally the world goes off. So this is why the self-reliance will fail you. It will fail you yesterday and it will fail you in 50 years because it's conditioned. The mental system is conditioned. And it's when you feel like you're having beliefs and ideas, you're being had by those beliefs and ideas through the identification with them. With them. And that identification will drive someone to do insane things, like leave this life on their own hand despite the fact that they have a family. Yeah? So this is why I keep hounding on the identification. Because if we're identified with the mental system, we're going to listen to that mental system based on the my mental system over any other circumstance, let's say. So it doesn't matter what loved ones say or what life is presenting, the evidence of not being worthless at all. If I'm identified with the mental system, it says worthlessness, I'm going with that over all of the evidence. Because based on the my thought. Those thoughts have no weight unless that my is in front of them. And you can hear your head say my. What is hearing? What is heard is not what is hearing. What is being perceived is not what is perceiving. So when Nisargadatta says when you identify with the body and the mind, you fragment yourself. This goes far, essentially. You fragment yourself in the basis of duality, this there, this here, that there, but the fragmentation goes on right up to the point of complete discomfort where you just want to get out of this situation, yeah? Yeah. And then the mental system tries to get out of itself, which it can't. So if you're identified with it trying to get out of itself, it seems like you're definitely stuck, which you're not. It's through the identification with the mental system. It can't get out of itself. Self cannot get out of self, as they say in AA. Self, J cannot get out of J. It's the identification with J that's got the sense of stuckness going on. And I'm not unique. So, personally, this is important because in the world that I come from, people keep taking their lives based on their mental ideas. Based on the head is killing them through their identification with it. Literally. Or they're relapsing based on the identification with the thinking. Mostly based on the identification with being the thinker of the thoughts. Self-reliance will fail us. Self-reliance will fail us. If you are in a recovery program, self-reliance will fail you. In my experience with depression, self-reliance will fail me. My head is talking based on its own conditioned ideas. Yeah? And I was listening to it through my identification with it. And because of that identification, it was in control. The conditioned ideas. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So any questions? Feel free to put that in the chat. Or maybe we'll actually wrap it up there. Let's see.